Number 33 in the 42 Ideas on Leadership comes to us from John Kotter. Specifically, we'll be looking at his book, Leading Change, written and published in 1995. This is an 8-step model for leading and creating change in an organization. These are the 8 steps, starting with creating urgency and then moving all the way up to anchoring change in the corporate culture. So let's start with creating urgency. There are several elements here. The first is that we have to create this sense of urgency, we have to spark it. Then we have to create motivation for change. We need to create open and honest dialogue and discussion. We have to do a SWOT analysis, but specifically looking at opportunities and threats related to change. We need to get input from the stakeholders to try to build arguments to support our vision of change. And then we have to create a powerful coalition. We have to identify and convince key change leaders that will help us bring about the change in the organization. We need to lead the change, and we have to get emotional investment for the people. That means we have to clearly identify the problem and communicate that to the people in the organization. We need a variety of sources and areas and skills with people who are involved in that coalition to try and push through the change. And we have to develop team building. And all of this then brings us towards creating a vision for change. We have to link ideas and solutions and concepts together and link all of these to the vision that we have for a different corporation or a different organization. We have to develop a clear vision. We have to identify the core values that are reflected in this vision. And then we have to create a central message that visualizes the future, a central message that communicates this clear vision, and using the KISS policy, keeping it simple and clear. And then we have to try to create a strategy to put that vision into practice. Communicating the vision is the next step. We have to communicate this vision that we have created with a coalition. We have to communicate it frequently and forcefully. We use every opportunity we have to communicate this vision, so to make sure that it's top of mind, that everybody in the organization is aware of this vision that you have and that it's fresh in their head at all times. We also have to try and make sure that we're carrying out actions to prove that this vision has to be put into practice, because actions speak louder than words. And everything we're doing, we have to link back to this core vision that we have created and the message that we have created to communicate this vision. Next step in change and creating the vision of change is removing obstacles to putting that vision into practice. We have to identify resistance and obstacles in the form of people, processes, and structures. First step, identifying them. Then we have to put change leaders into position so that they can overcome this resistance. We recognize and we reward people who make change happen. So this will encourage people to continue making change and putting that change into practice. And then we make sure that the organization and jobs are aligned with that vision. This obviously means that we have to quickly remove barriers, which means the people or the processes and structures that do not permit this vision to be realized. One of the elements of making sure that this vision becomes reality, apart from removing obstacles, is to create short-term wins. We have to ensure that there are early victories so that this will help to motivate people, and that these early victories, they're inexpensive, they're quick, they're easy, and they motivate people to continue changing. And as we looked at already, we then reward people for those changes. So we have to look at the short-term intermediate goals as well as that long-term vision. And finally, reward people for making this change happen. The seventh element is to build on the change. We should not be complacent. So as change starts to happen, we should not just sit back and let it happen. We have to make sure that we're involved. We have to assess each win as it happens and then identify room for improvement, and to set goals for continuous forward movement. And if necessary, we need to bring in fresh people to continue leading the change with fresh energy. And that we have continuous looped learning. We're learning, feeding it back into the process, improving, learning, improving again. And the final area is anchoring change in the corporate culture. We need to make sure that these changes become part of the organization's core, the new core. And we have to make the change appear everywhere so people can see it happening around them. We have to ensure continued support even after the change has happened to make sure that it continues to happen. And then we talk about progress and success every opportunity we get to make sure that we communicate this to new hires so they're aware of what's happened and the change that has happened. And finally, we should ensure the recognition of the original members' contribution to this change. So these are the 8 steps: creating urgency, forming a powerful coalition that will help you with this change, creating a clear vision for that change and communicating it clearly, then removing obstacles to that vision, creating short-term wins to encourage people to continue with the change, building on that change, and then ensuring that that change is anchored in the corporate culture so that when it does happen, it doesn't go away or disappear after a short period of time. This is number 33 in the 42 Ideas of Leadership. It comes to us from Kotter and his book, Leading Change.